Hey there, folks. So, last episode we went through and did some work on the AI logic. We find fleet point. Went through and expanded that to cover sort of creating this arc around the or in the towards the direction away from the fleet point to search for a vector search for a location that's viable for fleeing to. So, this episode, though, I do want to continue with cleaning up some of the to-do list. Again, simply, I'm still trying to determine how I want to go through and move forward with some of the critical components with the project, things like the equipment system and stuff like that. So, couple of quick things we are going to do this episode. We're going to deal with some more of the AI stuff. So in here, we've got actually two functions. Add in functionality to determine if the AI has a ranged attack, and add in functionality to pull the melee range from the base class. So right now, this is part of AI controller base. So I'm going to open that up. And you can see in here, we actually have a pointer to the controlled pawn that we have access to. So, pretty simple there. We're going to go back to this one here. It's going to be if controlled pawn does not equal null pointer, because just for that you can see it's initially created as a null pointer. What we're going to do here is where is it? NPC right here. We're going to add in a new function to the NPC character. It's going to be U function blueprint callable blueprint pure, because it's a constant float get melee range const. Sorry, get melee range const. I realize I'm talking pretty quietly to myself here. We do have a couple other values, but wait for this. Okay. Add that in. So in here, I'm going to just go return 150. That's our default float value. And we're going to go back to our controller. Return controlled pawn get melee range. Now this is, again, right now we're just passing through the same value in multiple cases. But what this is for is it's going to add some additional expansion to our AI code as we go further down. By default, range is 150. We're going to want to adjust that. Do I actually have a define in here for that? The character define? Data type, blackboard, conception, config. I don't. That's where I've added it. Yep. So include data type character defines. And we're going to open that up. In here you can see we've got death percentile, byte socket names, things like that. Define default melee range. I'm going to put that as 150 0F. And the reason for that is we want this to be a float. So I'm going to grab you. I'm going to go back to our controller. Where? There it is. Scroll down. We want to return that default value. And the whole reason for that, again, as I've explained in previous episodes, using a define file like this, these are basically what we're saying is anywhere in the code that we specifically, with this casing, that's why I'm using all capitals for these, called default melee range, it is going to say this is a value of 150. And we want to change that to 100 further down the line. Okay, well, instead of having to change that in 12 different places or anything like that, we can just change it in this one case. Same with the byte socket names and all of these various sockets. And that's the whole purpose for using these define files, so we can sort of only have to change things in one place instead of every place we've used it. So, but anyway, so we've got that one in here. Melee range, controlled pawn, get melee ranged. Okay, so that is here. Now, in this case, I don't want to use this. I just put this in as a placeholder so the code wouldn't complain. What we want to do here is add a new variable. So up in our private section, we're going to edit defaults only, blueprint read only, attack /byte. I'm going to add that in here. Float melee, byte attack range equals, I'm just going to use a default of 150 here because that's what I've worked with for the wolf. So I had to sit there and think what character that was. And we're going to just return that value. So now we have some other things to think about. We're like, well, has byte attack? Okay. Well, what happens if it doesn't have a byte attack? Okay, so if B has byte attack, return byte attack range, else okay, well now we need a default value. Default 150 again. Well, what are we going to do there if it doesn't have a byte attack? We need a alternate for that. Well, we could go through, if it doesn't have a byte attack, we're going to do this. If it does have a byte attack, we're going to use this. Simply, well, to simplify things and keep it from getting overly complex, what we're going to do is, instead of this being byte attack range, we are just going to leave this as attack range. This is a generic attack range for anything. So in here, let's get rid of that. We can get rid of all of these if conditions. So now, where this is going to fall short is NPC AI humanoids, or anything that has multiple different possible options for attack. So we'll take a human AI. There is the option of punching. There is the option of, let's say, a hatchet, which is going to have a range of, well, an additional range of, we'll just say 50 units. You could have a baseball bat that's going to have an attack range of an additional 100 units. You could have, say, a pull cue or a spear that has an attack range of an additional 150 units. So now we have this variable. We are unsure if it's got any additional attack range. That is where we're now going to add in a different variable. And this one is specific, again, for that. So we're going to move, actually we don't want that. Actually I'm trying to think. No, okay, so this is where, and again, this is something where I need to apologize. Where's it? Because maybe not. Sorry, I'm just sitting here. We got character base, NPC base. I was trying to. I can't remember what my intentions were here because it's not in my notes. If humanoids were going to directly derive off this, no, because they don't have behavior tree defined in here, do we? Yeah, no. Okay, so everything was going to be defined off character, NPC character. So what we're going to be doing here is adding in a protected function. Sorry, I needed to clarify and wrap my head around this because it's been a little while since I've worked on any of the AI stuff. So I'm going to add in a protected function, u function. Blueprint callable, blueprint pure. Virtual, which means we can override it. Float get melee attack range offset. And this is going to be a const. And what this is going to be is, by default, this is going to be a value of 0. And that's the reason why we want this virtual, so we can override it. Plus get melee attack range offset. So this is going to be the base attack range. So again, think of this like that's the length of the human arm. We'll just give it a default value of, say, 50. And I'm holding my arm out like you guys can see my arm. But anyway, so it's got a default attack range of 50. And this is going get melee attack range offset. By default returns nothing. That is going to be saying you don't have anything equipped. You're not holding anything. And that is where this value comes in. Now, until I actually finally make the decision on how I want to move forward with the equipment, it's going to be a little difficult. But in here, make call to equipment set to get melee range of equipped weapon. By default, we're going to return 0. The reason why I have that the virtual there for the ability to override is if in the future I create like NPC human character, NPC whatever character, I can add an override function in to get multiples of that. No, yeah, it's complaining about behavior tree. But again, the whole purpose of this is so we have our attack range. So the AI knows, in the behavior tree, it knows how close does it need to get before it can start attacking. And again, part of the reason why, let me get back to that, this is virtual, is it also allows for modding. Coming in as a modder, say you're writing in a code, you want to create this class that expands or extends upon the NPC class, you can. I don't want to do this for every function because there's certain things I want to add in that are just hard-coded. As like for terminology, but things like melee bite trigger overlap, actually I might want to make that virtual. So it's things like that. So anyways, back to our task list. That was this one here. Has ranged attack. Okay, well now we've got to do a similar thing here. We're going to put that back into our controlled pawn. So if controlled pawn does not equal null pointer, I'm going to say return true. This is just a placeholder. So now we're going to go back to, because this is a NPC character, get melee ranged. Well, let's do the same thing here. U function bool has ranged weapon. And again, this is going to be a constant. We don't want any code that calls this function to be able to change the return. So for now, I'm going to create that definition. And this is just going to return false. So back in our controller, return controlled pawn has ranged weapon. Now, a couple of things to add and explain on this, because I do understand some people may think, okay, why are we doing this every time? Why don't we just get this as a value and store it locally? You could do that, but, excuse me, the reason why I haven't done that is I don't want the pawn, if it, again, taking a human NPC, if it picks up a ranged weapon and equips it, I don't want it to have to call back to the controller to tell the controller to update the state. I want, whenever the behavior tree is executing and it's checking, do you have a ranged weapon? It checks and does an in-depth check, sort of thing. So, but by default, I want all of the AI to, like I say again, default, say it doesn't. Default to this. Now, which is the default melee range of 150, sorry. My brain's a little scattered right now. Now, to further expand why I did not use a character define here, I'm not going to see this change. I want the AI, no matter what, and this is personal, if you want to be able to flip-flop with this, go ahead, add a define. But I want my AI, by default, to be melee only. And that's why I'm doing this way. Because the predominant AI in my plan is going to be animals, things like that. There will be some NPC humans, things like that. I'm not going to exclude that. But the 95% of the AI in my game are not going to have guns. They're going to be deers, bears, things like that that don't have to worry about it. So having a ranged weapon becomes the exception. And that's why the default here is false. I'm not using a define because I can say emphatically 100% certainty right now that's not something I'm going to want to change in the future. That's one of the few things I can say emphatically with my project. Because again, the majority of my AI is going to be a creature that doesn't have a thumb. So, but anyway, so now what we need to do, let's just go back to in here and add in some to-dos. Yes, we're cleaning up some to-dos, but adding some more. Add in check with equipment to see if ranged weapon is equipped. And the reason for this is, again, I haven't decided on my equipment system. So go here, make that a to-do. All right, so we've got those. You can see those have added more in. Two-handed logic eval. What was my intention here? Because I still got a little bit on this episode, and we're cleaning up some weapons. Yeah, equip weapon. If item is a null pointer, we're clearing things out. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong function here. Oh no, it's all the same one. Equipped item is if it's not valid, we're logging an error. If it's not we haven't been able to initialize it, we're logging an error. If it's right-handed, and right-hand item isn't a null pointer, we're getting the one that's currently there. Add in two-handed logic eval. Be right-handed. Where I was doing that. Oh, I know what that is now. What are we looking at here? What are you? You are a equipped character item base. That's right. Okay, that's using this here. Let's go to definition just to make sure. Yeah, okay. Okay, so if right hand item two-handed and left hand item does not equal null pointer. Okay, so I'm going to actually reverse this here, but I'll explain as I'm going. So what this one is we're checking if the right-handed item is two-handed, and we need to equip it in two hands, obviously, and we have something in our left-handed item. We need to get rid of the item in the left. Excuse me, but as I mentioned, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to put left-hand item So if the left-hand item is not a null pointer and the right-hand item is two-handed, the reason for doing it this way, and again, I like to explain this. I understand some people may understand why, but not everyone's fluent in C++, is if this evaluates as false, we never... Sorry, so if the left-handed item is a null pointer, I'll explain it a little better, this left-hand side of this is going to evaluate as false. We never need to check this one. This is less code execution than this. Because if we go through here, is two-handed item, we go to that. Okay, so we're in here, return item, look at default item is two-handed. Well, item is a U weapon item base. Okay, so let's go to that. Weapon item base. Is two-handed, we're returning weapon handiness is handiness both. So we have to go through that call stack, or function stack, however you want to word it, to basically get this. Whereas, if we go back in here, this is a real simple check. So that's the reason for wanting to do it this way, is we're checking to see if it's two-handed, great, but having something in our left hand is, if we don't have something in our left hand, we don't have to worry about this. So anyways, now we want to repeat the same thing down here. I don't believe I'm setting this up to be handiness left right. I just want to make sure I have it there just in case. So if right-handed item does not equal a null pointer and left-handed item is two-handed, right-hand item destroy. Now this isn't clearing it from the inventory, this is just removing it from the equipment the character has. So we also need to take in and add in, and this is something I still need to decide on, well, not decide, look into, to do, attach left hand to left hand socket on item, and the inverse down here, to do attach right hand to right hand socket on item. Again, we're trying to clean up the to-do list, but we're adding more. But what's important is we're moving things forward. So, okay, is there anything else I can clean up quickly in the next 5 minutes? Let's have a look. Add in, let's just clean up this comment. Add in, check with equipment, see if range weapon is equipped. Change these functions. Okay, so this one is the harvest regrow, a regrowing harvest actor. So that one, this is another easy one we can do. So regrowing harvest actor. This one I'm going to do in, it's probably not the best way, but should, actually I think I need to add functions for this. On time change, on day change. So let's go back actually. Change these to use specific Delphi time change data. Okay, if, what do we call that? I'm going this differently. Number of days to regrow. Number of days to regrow modulo 365 is equal to 0. Else. So it's going to be P message manager on year change dot add dynamic. Actually, I'm just going to copy this over. No, it's they're both the same. F year change delegate. Oh no, on time change. Oh, I think this is where I'm gonna have to reevaluate because this is gonna take a little longer. Trying to think how to do this. Yeah, I'm going to reevaluate this one, and I'm not going to do it this episode because, again, that's going to take some time. But with that, folks, that's actually where I'm going to leave things off with this episode. I know, as I've mentioned, we didn't really shorten the to-do list. We actually think we might have expanded it a little more. But I do feel like it's moving things forward. That's the thing. Like, I have a lot of these little tasks that I've left because I was focusing on a particular area, and it's going to take some time for all of these to come to completion. So, next episode, though, it's actually probably going to be just a continuation of cleaning up our to-do list, specifically this one here. I do want to actually sort this out so that it's working correctly and far more efficient. Because this on time change, if we go to this one, that is our message manager. I believe that gets called pretty much constantly. That's every minute in game time. So we want to adjust that so it uses one of these. But anyways, folks, as I said, I'm going to end the episode here. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, you need any help or anything, please feel free to leave it in the comment below or hop over onto the Discord, ask questions there. Try to respond as quickly as I can. YouTube notifications aren't great. I tend not to get comments. I actually have to actively go look and see if I have comments. It kind of sucks. I don't know why that's happening. But anyways, folks, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.